Hi, welcome to TeachStart, and today we're looking at the self-regulating classroom. Now, what the concept is very simple. As a teacher, you never want to bring yourself into a position where it's you versus them, and the them is the 30 students in front of you ready for an argument, ready to not learn, or whatever the circumstances are. And I think this is a behaviour management kind of video on kind of how to break down the challenge of you versus them. And you should never ever be in a position where it's you versus them, because you will lose. There's 30 of them. They're way smarter than you when it comes to this thing. They're way sneakier. They've got strength in numbers, and they probably know your weaknesses by now and will know how to exploit them. And so when you challenge a class, and I've said in videos before, you can group them together and create this me versus them conflict. For instance, if you keep classes back at the end of the lesson, that's instantly, right, me versus you, it's me versus the whole group. And that instantly creates that division, and that's not a good thing. And that's why I advocate never to keep whole classes back, unless weirdly all 30 students have done something wrong, which is incredibly unlikely, and I've never experienced it in my life in either my classrooms or any of the classrooms I've visited. There's always students that have been caught up, that are not doing anything wrong, and so you want to keep them as allies. So how do you make them self-regulating their behaviour? So the important thing is to break them up. Is instead of 30, break them up into smaller groups, and you can do that by promoting group work. You can do that by promoting kind of natural areas of the classroom, whether it's kind of rows, so if you've got two front rows and then the front rows behind them, and so when you let them go at the end of the lesson, they go by rows, and so therefore the row really wants to get organised so that they can get to go first, etc. And that's instantly not 30 of them, that's small groups, and they're competing against each other. And following that on that from that example, say if you have an issue with them getting ready so that they can go on the bell, or standing behind their chairs, or whatever it is you do as a teacher or as a school, then if you say, all right, we're going to do it by rows, absolutely fine, or sub rows, left and right hand row, that's fine. You notice things that like this said, quickly, sit down, because we want to go first. Well, they're self-regulating. You're not having to tell them, because they know that they want to go first. And to be honest, it's their own fault as a group if they don't go first, or if they don't go on the bell, because they haven't been ready. And that's what I mean by self-regulating, getting them to have control and to try and persuade others who aren't following the instructions you've asked them to do. Now, you can extrapolate this and use this for all lessons. And you've got to be a bit careful here and there, because, for instance, something I tried before and it wasn't a success was I said that you succeed and fail as a group, and so if anyone in your group has not completed the work, then your whole group will have to come back at lunchtime and finish it off. And I tried this kind of as an experiment to see kind of how it would work, and it worked really, really well, except for one group that had someone who really found it difficult to finish the work, and however much help their teammates gave them, they really found that the subject difficult, and so instantly I had to adapt it and change it and tweak it, so that it wasn't that cut and dry, because it wasn't fair on the others who were working really, really hard to have to come back at lunch. And it didn't sit right for me that student, even though they were behaving themselves, were keeping everyone back and feeling even more pressure. And so I stepped in straight away, and I found a different way, and I said that I'd stay with that student, that's no problem, and we'll catch it up. But you have to be careful, because it's good to experiment, it's good to try new things, but you've also got to highlight where your strategy's gone wrong. But I lifted that system slightly, I made it a bit more relaxed, and actually it worked so much better, because I made so what I did then was I had a team member, and I didn't have a sanction attached. I removed that because that didn't work. But I had a team member of each table, of each group, that was responsible for not only getting their own work done, but helping others on their desk. And so the system was that if anyone on that desk needed help, this person would help them. And this person was responsible for putting their hand up to ask me to come over and support. So if this person was finishing their own work, or this person didn't know the answer, and I switched the person who was the manager each time. I didn't just pick the person who was the smartest on that topic. I just picked randomly, and actually what I found was removing the sanction, not having that lunchtime thing, helped me an awful lot, and actually the students bought into it so much better, and they were so self-regulating. And there's things I've done since to tweak that, and there's things I've done since that have completely against that and are not following that protocol at all. And I think for each group you need something slightly differently, because there's so based on ability, based on age, things work really well, things don't work really well. That was with I think it was a year 10 that I did that with. It probably wouldn't have worked as well for a year 7. It might have worked even better for a year 7 group. I didn't have one at the time. So it's about making sure that they're split up, then they're not 30 against you. You don't challenge them as a group. And there's things you can say as a teacher that say something like, I need you to be quiet now because I really want you to understand this. And something like that, the kind of more conscientious students in the class pick that up and go, oh, hang on, I want to learn as well. I'm with you. I want to get good grades. And suddenly it's not 30 against 1. You've got allies straight away. And there's other things, other subtle things. And, as a teacher, you should be thinking, what can I do to try and get some allies in this classroom? Even with what you perceive as the worst group, there's often allies you can pick up, and suddenly it's not 30 against 1, but actually it's half the class and you versus maybe the half a class and then suddenly a quarter of a class, and maybe it's just 1 or 2 students then. And it's very, very difficult for 1 or 2 students to fight the entire rest of the class and you. And they often start to back down and withdraw quite a lot when their own students in their classroom are kind of looking at them going, what are you doing? Or not laughing at their silliness or whatever it is. So I hope you find this video useful. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 5 o'clock in the evening. Thank you.